I see y'all got some soup. Y'all enjoying the soup? Yeah. Okay. All right, y'all enjoy the soup slam. Okay. I'm glad we all supporting each other and the vibrations are high in here. So next up, we're gonna have Ras Ben speak. Before he goes, I just want to say a little about my experience with Ras Ben. Being a young black man, quote unquote, or black, growing up in Philadelphia, it's such a violent city, and so many things that are going on, so many negative things, so many positive things. It's like a coin, it's two different sides of this world. Because we're in Philadelphia right now in the record year for homicides in an already considerably dangerous city during a pandemic. It's just so many different things are going on right now that could have us anywhere but right here, and we're here. So for Ras Ben, for me, I study very often, every single day. And I research things. I research things about the history of Philadelphia, about why we're here, about crystals, and about the electrical grid, all types of different sciences and alchemy and things, and basically trying to connect to whatever I can learn. They say that what they call it is New Age science or whatever, but it's really not at all. It's really ancient, and we know that, of course. And through my research, there have been several times where I've been looking up something so specific that only one person's name comes up on YouTube, on the Google search, or on anything, and it's Ras Ben. So we have to understand that we're sitting with somebody who has such an expertise right here in this field, and what we're talking about, what we're going to learn from it is so valuable to be able to sit here. People are going to be reading his books long after this time that we're in right now. The fact that we're all able and privileged enough to be able to sit here in his presence right now and get information directly from the God himself is incredible. So without further ado, can everybody please make some noise for Ras Ben?
Yes, love and respect, everyone. I give thanks because, it's Tuesday night. I wasn't expecting as full of a house, so thank you for coming and being here. I do have to, before I even get started, I really have to acknowledge the elders and the energy that they brought, opening up. Mama Gail and Sister Marcy. Where? All right, yes. So, we really got to give thanks for the energy that they brought. Mama Gail is a big part of that great mystery, Philadelphia. And it started in 2011 on 11/11/11. The day of oneness, right? Where people were doing things all around the world, but there was like a crew who said, we got to do something here in Philly. They just felt like, we got to do something here. But then it became why? Why should Philly be considered a spiritual place like Machu Picchu or Giza Pyramid Complex? People were going to places like that to set an intention of oneness. And it was Catriel Wise. Y'all remember Catriel? Yeah. He's down in Jamaica now. He set that vision. He set that vision then. And Ampu, Brother Ampu we was blessed with him. He was a part of it. Mama Gail, we all got together. There was even a couple of others. And we each took a part of Philadelphia to research, And Mama Gail had already been real deep on the ancestors and where were the forgotten cemeteries and the ley lines, So she brought all that to the great mystery. So she's here about 10 years later. So give thanks And right, Sister Marcy, when Mama and I first came to Philly in the 90s, early 90s, Sister Marcy invited us in our home, into her home, and just gave us that elderly guidance that helps young ones grow in the right direction. And she's just been doing that over the decades. Where you find consistency, there's truth. So, thank you, Mama. Yeah. And for them to just be here and open up. Sister Marcy just shared with us, she's about to be 78 years old. Look at her countenance. Look at that radiance. Look at that example of health and vitality. That's what I'm saying, You gotta recognize. Can't just take them things for granted, So, give thanks. And definitely want to big up the One Art Community Center. This is about our 6th or 7th solstice gathering. We started that with Catriel. Brother Catriel was the rallying force around us coming together during the solstice here at One Art. Catriel and our good ancestor now, Professor Kareem. That was those was the motivating force that kind of set this tradition in motion, and it kind of converged with it's just time. The end of the year is always a good time to reflect back on the year that you just experienced, and set a vision for the year coming up. So it fit that I would share astrological. I don't like forecast, I don't want to be casting nothing. But setting forth a vision. Setting forth a vision for your upcoming year, so you know where to put your intention, put your focus, and timing. We know timing is important, and so it's in that spirit we coming together to look at 2022, and I was saying all that to say, before I even go there, I just want to make sure we thank One Art for opening up their space consistently over the years, even though we didn't come together as a collective last year. I did share, we recorded, Crystal Joan and myself, we recorded in Plants and People, which is right in the One Art compound. And One Art has, now Selah Moon is transformed into I&I. So they've been an anchor here on this north side of 52nd Street for a long time. I was just sharing. I remember the first time I came here, most of what was behind there was a junkyard, and just being proper custodians of the community and seeing the rewards that come of that over time. That's what the One Art Community Center is an example of. Because now, they're an anchor here in this shopping district that we see is getting revitalized. That's right. So, gotta give that respect and honor and thanks, and make sure y'all check out I&I. Make sure y'all check out Plants and People. I think One Art is a membership Now, Mama Leka is healing. I don't think I'm just speaking for her as best as I can, because she's in healing right now. So we even want to send her some healing ashe, some healing vibes, you know? But, yeah, that's how this is, where all the momentum that's bringing us to this point right here. You know, that we're here. And look, even because we were upstairs a couple of years ago. Cold, right? I was kind of worried all day, I'm not going to lie. You see, I got my hoodie on. I was ready. I had to take a layer off. You know? It's beautiful in here. Y'all doing your thing. You know? So we definitely want to acknowledge that. And yeah, let's jump right into this thing, because it's a serious time we're in right here, right? But my daughter called me this morning, my daughter that lives in Vegas, and you know, the Star Nations is very active out there. Mama Gail was talking about is real. You know, because she called me, telling me the Star Nation action was hot.
That's right.
You know? But she also called to tell me that today, worldwide,
yes,
people are coming together to pray for divine intervention.
Yes.
And so she was like, "Did you know that, Bob?" I was like, "Nah, I didn't, but thank you for putting that in my heavens, because we're here right now as a collective, and I feel we all need to be our small instrument playing our part in this orchestra of life. And let's just take a moment. It can be an internal prayer. It don't have to be, because the quiet, still voice within, the quiet is still his voice within, is what resounds the loudest prayers within the omniverse, you know? So let's just take a quiet moment and pray for some divine intervention. And we're going to see how that does line up with the energy of 2022. But yeah, let's just do this for a moment. Yes. And let's hold that affirmation, or hold the affirmation that we give thanks for divine intervention. We give thanks for the divine intervention. And we do have to know, as crazy as it appears, everything is in divine order.
Absolutely.
Because I've never seen humanity so awake.
Wow.
As I'm seeing it right now. I'm seeing people that, they drooling on themselves. They so sleep back in the day. They're awake now. They're saying things I'm surprised to hear from them, So everything is for a reason. And the more we know that and move with that awareness, we can keep our frequency high. Keep that fear factor off of us. Because they trying to throw it on us for real. Because they know it's crippling. And that is a big part of what 2022 is going to be about. this spiritual battle for our frequency. You know, this is what time it is. You know, so let's go ahead and jump into it. Going backwards. Yeah, before, you know what, but before we jump in 2022, let's look at what we said 2021 was going to be like, you know, and just like, what's up? Was we on? Was we, you know? But we said the big, like we give a name for each year or theme for each year. And we said the theme for 2021 was that the impersonal was going to become personal. And Big Brother was going to become Big Daddy. Okay? So that's what we said was the big keyword activation for 2021. The big activators of it has been Capricorn being activated. Primarily with Pluto being in Capricorn for about 12 years. It's going to be there for about another 3 or 4. That's been the rise of the plutocracy, oligarchy, ones that can control resources, controlling social order, you know, and how that was playing itself out. We had the rulers of space and time, Jupiter and Saturn, coming together right on top of Pluto in 2020, you know. And Capricorn is the authority. Capricorn is the man, the one in control, the shot caller, you know. Capricorn's ruled by Saturn as Father Time. How really the use of the calendar. If you can control someone's time, you have a natural control over their space. You know? So the ones who like kind of set the calendar, the time to pay debt. That's what calendar means, you know, time to pay debt. And yeah, this has been their time, as we can see. Even I think one of the biggest ways we've seen this Pluto and Capricorn cycle play itself out is corporations and oligarchs taking over the decision-making mechanisms of society. You know, politicians, who they really answer to. When you think back 15 years, there's been a shift. It's been a big shift. You know, so all of this has led to these impersonal controls of society, these corporate controls of society. We were going to like really feel it on a personal level. It was going to have a impact on our personal day-to-day moves and how we're living and our lifestyle, you know? And another energetic factor in this is Aquarius, the sign after Capricorn. And we all know, but on a planetary level, in the grand calendar of the Earth, we're moving out of the age of Pisces into the age of Aquarius, right? Fifth Dimension told us that, in the 60s or 70s, right? Dawning of the age of Aquarius. And a lot of people are excited or they have a anticipation about this age because is foretold to be one of like a social golden age, right? That possibility is there. But the reality is every sign has shadows. Every sign has a shadow side. And the biggest shadow of Aquarius is impersonal controls, where it's not like one person in authority wagging their finger telling you what to do. It's the impersonal controls of the social order or the community that you live in. Community expectations, or, if you want to be a viable member of the social order, you got to fall in.
Wow.
Now, my biggest example before 2021 was the cell phone. Okay? Because no one comes to us and says, yo, you gotta have a cell phone. You gotta own a cell phone. It's going to give you cancer. It's going to scramble your brain. It's going to make your attention, give you 3 seconds of attention. It's going to energetically toxify you. You're going to self-report and spy on yourself, right? But that don't matter. You got to get it. No one tells us that. But I'm sure most of us in here have one. And we made that decision autonomously, It was our own personal decision. Because the reality is, the way society is now, you want to be a viable, make your moves, how antiquated. Imagine what it would look like if you pulled a map out, a big map or atlas book. You would look out of time, right? To make our moves today, you need a cell phone. All right, so that's an impersonal control. That's an Aquarian impersonal control. We know what's the impersonal control of 2021. And it's connected with the cell phone because ultimately, at some point, globally, we see it sprouting different aspects of what they want to put in place, sprouting up, some in Austria, some in Australia, some here, other key countries where they're going to have that Gilly Bates hocus pocus passport on your phone. And then ultimately, we're going to talk about the blockchain, and I know that there's a lot of possibility for abundance in the cryptocurrency, right? But that's programmable money. And imagine someone, one of those oligarchs, one of those plutarchs, saying, your money's, I just programmed your money so you can't spend it here, or you can't spend it there, right? Or you can't buy a plane ticket, right? Like they got your money where they can program your limits, right? This is where they're going with this thing. When all of it comes together, You know, unless we get some divine intervention. Unless we get some divine intervention. In 2021, we've seen the shadow of Aquarius. You know, this is what we have to work through to get the Aquarian age that is not dystopian. The dystopia future reality is definitely an Aquarian shadow. Okay? And so Jupiter and Saturn, that great conjunction of 2020, right, that occurred on the solstice last year. That occurred in the last degree of Capricorn and the first degree of Aquarius. And so Jupiter and Saturn have been in Aquarius this year, expanding these impersonal controls. You know, this Aquarian shadow. And why are we going to take it personal? Because that Pluto, Saturn, Jupiter conjunction in the late degrees of Capricorn, early degrees of Aquarius, they're squaring Mars and Uranus in the first house. This is 2021's chart. Squaring Mars and Uranus in the first house. First house is where we take things personal. Mars is like our moves, like the moves we make. You know, where we put our energy, our focus, our attention. So it's going to be stressing. This is, so 2021, that's what was jumping off. And some ways, some examples, like when we look back, some examples that just kind of really stood out to me, like, wow, this is some Aquarian shadow. This is some dystopian present. We can't even say dystopian future. These are things that, like, we have to be paying attention to. These are the things we need some divine intervention against, right? We got this pattern globally of nations branding citizens terrorists or some type of bad boy and using their cell phone, installing spyware on their phones to monitor their every move, you know? So China rolling this out on Uyghurs, making it like it's the law where Uyghurs have to be phone responsive at all times. If they're called, they don't have their phone, you're getting detained. It's a problem. And they're tracking their moves, they're tracking their contacts. Same things happen with the Palestinians and Israel. Same thing. Israeli government downloading spyware on Palestinians' phones and using it against them, you know? We know what's happening in Australia. That's just like the extreme example of the Techno-state lockdown. Paramilitary, right? They can go into urban, different environments, hold people, you know, like literally lock you down, but then also using technology, like what we were just talking about. Okay? All this is 2021. Okay? And we know what's happening here. And so these are the things we really need some divine intervention, right? Yeah, not easy. So we did ask at the beginning of 2021. We asked the question, there may be some grace. You might see some grace in May of this year. The reason being is that Jupiter was going to fly through Aquarius. Jupiter entered Aquarius, I want to say like January 1st. By May, it was already in Pisces. Okay? Jupiter did go retrograde at 2 degrees Pisces and then went back into Aquarius. And then it's going to re-enter Pisces December 28th. So Jupiter in Pisces is the astrological mark for like blessings, grace, divine intervention. Okay? Something from the unknowable, uncalculable. You can't calculate the infinite. You know what I'm saying? There are things that AI, the big head scientists, they can't calculate it all. You know what I'm saying? So Pisces represents, that's what Pisces represents. The infinite God force that can't be calculated. It's, you know, it's a part of us. It's a part of everything. You know what I'm saying? It's the greatest mystery. It's unknowable, right? It's really, that's why a lot of traditions, they say you can't put no image on it. Or you can't, as soon as you try to define it, you've defiled it. You know, it's like, it's beyond that, right? When Jupiter's in people that are born with Jupiter in Pisces, that's like the astrological mark of like you're blessed by the best, blessed and highly favored, right? It's a time when you can expect something from the unknown, uncalculable being a factor in what unfolds, you know? So we said, hey, maybe we'll see some grace in May. I don't know. And to be honest, I've been like time feels like it's moving so fast for me, right? I didn't even really have time to research events of May of 2021 to see like, where may some grace have been sparked off. I tell you one thing that has really caught my eye, and that is that book, The Real Dr. Fauci, by Robert Kennedy. Maybe that got published in May, I don't know. May of this year. But we're going to talk a little more about it. But I think that is going to be a very influential, it's going to have a lot of momentum and a lot of influence in 2022. And any grace that we see may be tied in with that book. If you haven't gotten it, get it. Robert Kennedy did an interview on the Higher Side Chats with Greg Carwood, THC, the Higher Side Chats. You can't get the book because I hear the book is hard to get. I hear it is selling out. Okay, which is great. But you got to hear this interview. It's free. It's a 2-hour. Become a member of the Higher Side Chats to get the 2-hour interview. But they got an hour of it free on YouTube. Okay? The grace may be tied in with that. I don't know. But we do have to ask the same question going into 2022, because this is a year that, for the most part, Jupiter's going to be in Pisces. You know? So this might be a year where we get a glimpse of grace, that divine intervention. Instant karma, full circle karma. A whole lot comes with Jupiter and Neptune, which are the both rulers of Pisces. They're both going to be in Pisces this year. Okay? And I feel it's significant. Okay? And yeah, I'm excited about what this year may bring. Okay?
You excited?
I'm excited.
That makes me happy.
I'm excited
I'm excited.
about what this year may bring. Okay? Yeah. Have faith in your power of prayer. Didn't we just call forth for divine intervention in our life? So yeah, expect to see it. That's what I would say in 2022. Expect to see it. You know? So why do we say that? These are the themes that are activated when the rulers of Pisces are both in Pisces. Now I do have to say I am a Pisces. Alright, in case y'all didn't know. So that's part of my excitement, right? Because I do feel like, right, me personally is probably going to be like an active year, you know, an exciting year, right? I like how the numerology lines up. 2022, like, yeah, I don't know. But these are the themes that might be activated that we're going to be seeing.
I'm not sure I understand.
Those that Siri says she don't know. Yeah, AI is not going to understand. Didn't I tell you that? I told you it's incalculable. It's beyond their mathematics. It's on that infinite plane, right? But those that follow my works, you know, one of the themes we frequent is this idea of atonement, redemption. These are Piscean themes, right? Like I said, I am Pisces, so this is why these themes have my focus, you know? Sealing it up. Pisces is the 12th and final sign, right? So, as far as soul evolution, when you get to Pisces, if you are able to experience idea of like sealing up your bloodline's karma, right? Like, we all know we got, right, by the time you're at Pisces, you've eaten from the tree of knowledge of good and evil.
Yes.
You know? You're not like a young soul that's innocent and makes decisions based on innocence. By the time you're in Pisces, you've come full circle. You know what it is because you've seen both sides of the equation, you know? But yet, hopefully, we're in that redemptive, atoning intention, moving with that. Right? That's like Piscean themes. But again, what do we say? We are closing out this 2,000-year cycle of Pisces. So everybody, this thing is active. You know, we're like at the end of times, the end of days. That thing is kind of real. Like however you want, whatever tradition you're coming out of, however you want to word it, that thing is real. So if we're here, you here in this time, it would be advantageous. You would be moving with the flow of space-time. You'd be aligned with where space-time is going. If you want some redemptive works, if you want some atoning works, okay? And with Jupiter and Neptune in Pisces 2022, you might see the rewards of those efforts. You might see those efforts come full circle, you know? So, karma, full circle and instant, is going to be something we witness in 2022. Okay? This cycle of Jupiter-Neptune conjunction in Pisces, it's only occurred 2 other times in our 400-year sojourn in this dispensation, I guess we call America, or whatever, you know, whatever you want to label it, right? You know what I'm talking about. This thing we in right here, right? It started around 1619 in Virginia, right? Jupiter and Neptune conjunct in Pisces occurred in 1690, 1856, and then now. So this is the third and I would say kind of final time this conjunction will be occurring in that 400-year sojourn, right? So whatever karmic dynamics, karmic forces, you and your family either got coming to you, or damn, y'all gotta you gotta kind of take that L, right, for Uncle Joe or whatever, right? We're gonna be seeing a lot of that in 2022. It's gonna be full circle karma, whatever is coming full circle, and yeah, hopefully we've been doing good. And so we can look for the rewards of that good coming 2022, you know? But also some instant karma. Again, that X factor, that unknown. Okay? We're going to be seeing that in 2022. Divine intervention, angelic intervention. 12th house, which is all things Pisces, rules all things that are beyond our control but impact our life. Because of that, a lot of people are scared of the 12th house. If you're a student of astrology, by the time people get to talking about the 12th house, there's a fear factor usually built into the discussion of the 12th house. Why? Because people find security and comfort in control. You feel if you're in control. Some people feel more comfortable driving. They can't sit in the passenger seat. You know what I mean? They don't want their fate in someone else's hands. They gotta have a wheel. Right? But what we gotta remember is God and the angels are outside of our control, but impact our life.
That's right.
So the 12th house, Pisces energy, This is where we tend to have our direct and personal relationship with the Most High, with that quietest, stillest voice within us. Okay? The 12th house is the house of the rising sun. It's where the sun is when it's rising. Okay? And that's usually the time we can get in touch with that quietest, stillest voice. That's the most optimal time. Before we've been on this thing for an hour and, stressed out at our job and all of that. It's hard to get our minds still enough to tap into that quietest, stillest voice after all of that. So to tune into that divine angelic intervention that's going to be popping this year. Sunrise meditation is very important.
I sure is.
Being up when the sun is in that 12th house. We want to be awake, showered, mouth fresh, no electronics on, in a place to receive. And communion is where we talk and listen to that quietest, stillest voice. Meditation is listening. Prayer is talking. The whole two-way process is that communion. Okay? That's going to be very important in 2022. That to be plugged in on that level is where you're going to get the information to be where you need to be, doing what you need to be doing, investing in what you're supposed to be investing in. Okay? Ras can't tell you those things. Nobody outside of yourself is going to be able to give you the information that you're going to be able to plug into, particularly the first 5 months of 2022. That should be a consistent daily observance. All right? Plug into that intervention. A lot of time, a lot of revelations is going to be coming out in 2022. This is right. We're in the information age. We're getting a whole lot of information, but how relevant is that information to what we really got to do? You know what I mean? To be able to get a view, get what they might say, that long view of history. Deep, profound, as much as been revealed in this information age already, a lot deeper information is going to come out in 2022. Transformative. Okay? And we're also going to be witnessing fulfillment of prophecies. I would say study historic and prophetic timelines. It's very important. Study the book every night. Whatever prophet you're aligned with after that. You've got to study. Because, again, that full circle, that idea, that fulfillment of prophecies, we're going to be able to witness these things in 2022. And we want to be able to observe these things and have a productive, emotional state. If you're not looking at it at the right lens, some of the things we see in 2022 might shake you up. Because it's what is this? Where is this coming from? You're not going to have a context for it. Right? So that was one of the gifts of prophecy. That's what the knock opens up with. He says, I'm not sharing these words for my generation, but for one that's yet to come in the far distant future. You know? So that's the idea of prophecy. That let me share a vision, a context, an understanding of what future generations might experience, so they'll know what it is and be able to move through it. You know? Tied in with that. Jupiter, Neptune, Pisces is a time, the potential for mass spiritual awakenings. You know how Carl Jung had this idea of the collective subconscious, right? That's Pisces. Pisces is the collective subconscious. Jupiter and Neptune rule it, right? So the collective subconscious, where, like, we all see symbols out here, right? Like, when you say collective subconscious, what do we mean? We see a symbol, and there's some part of us that we can have like a shared interpretation of that symbol somehow, almost just innate. Like, I'll look at the symbol and interpret it away. My sisters will look at it and interpret it away, and then when we talk about it, there's affinity there. Why? Because on a deep subconscious level, we're one. Okay? That's Pisces. Right? So this is the time, more than any other astrological season, like you would have 100th monkey effect, mass awakening occurrences. You don't know what I mean, but with 100th monkey effect, like there's enough of us on a resonant frequency, paying attention, meditating, praying, that we get like a critical mass of us thinking that way, that it activates many more spontaneously. You know, ones that studied monkeys on remote islands observed that once, like, let's say a monkey started using a rock a certain way as a tool, after about 100 monkeys in his community started doing the same thing, all the monkeys throughout various islands would start to spontaneously do the same thing. So they called it the 100th monkey effect. That once these beings who had what we would call a resonant affinity, a like vibration, right? Once enough of them started doing something, all of them with the like vibration, like frequency, on the same resonance, they all started doing it. Okay? So don't underestimate yourself. Don't undervalue your importance. They say every one of us is in resonance with about 12,000 people. Because of either like genetics, or like lifestyle, or like thinking, right? You're in resonant affinity. You are in a like frequency to about 12,000 people, right? And whoever is vibing the strongest amongst y'all is going to have the most influence. Okay? So you got to keep your frequency strong, keep your vibration strong. Don't undervalue how you're thinking, what you're paying attention to, and how that impacts the collective consciousness. Okay? These things are going to be very important in 2022. And because of that, sad to say, there's going to be the appearance of a lot of spiritual warfare. There are going to be ones who want to keep, for whatever reason, however it serves them, They want the vibration low. They want the frequency low. And so they're going to be doing things to kill your spirit, kill your vibe, you know, kill your buzz, right? You be irie on a certain frequency and they're not going to like that. They're not going to want you on that frequency. And so that's spiritual warfare. You know, you let some event or something outside yourself bring down your frequency, bring down your vibe. They're winning. Okay? So that astral world was a big, what do you say, forerunner of that. You know? That thing depressed a lot of people. And it was sad. It was crazy. You know, but you're going to see a lot of things like that. If you have a vision. Neptune is our imagination. Neptune is our visionary, the movie mind, right? And we all got a imagination inside where if I said visualize the front of your house right now, even though you're right here in your mind's eye, you see in your house, right? And so they call it daydreaming, and they tend to discredit that experience in the West. They don't give it value here. They say when you daydream and you're wasting time, right? But those that study omniversal law, where everything is mind, that's one of the 7 basic laws. Everything is mind. And one of the sub-laws of that, everything starts with a vision. Everything starts with a vision. And the more attention and focus you give to a vision, because everything is mental, it's going to attract enough energy, enough magnetism, that vision is going to start materializing in the, what do you say, the manifested reality. Right? So if you are one that is aware of that and has been moving like that, 2022 can be a year you will see materialization. Okay? Because Neptune rules our visionary self. And Jupiter brings opportunity, fortune. Jupiter represents everything that comes to us without our own effort. Just being a citizen of an abundant omniverse. Okay? And that's in contrast to Saturn, that represents everything that comes to us through our own toil. You know? The difference is, what we get through Jupiter, it can come and go. It's here today, gone tomorrow. If we don't value it, if we don't, you know, because we know it's true. If we get easy money, we're not going to value it and treat it the same way than if it was like, damn, I put 60 hours in a week for this, so I'm going to value it a different way. You know what I'm saying? So Jupiter's money usually comes and goes real quick in our life. Or Jupiter's blessings. It's not just money. Jupiter's blessings, whatever it brings to us. Where what Saturn brings to us, which is ultimately usually tied into a lesson, we carry that for eternity. We carry that across lifetimes. Saturn is Father Time. Okay? So, I know that I went off on a tangent, but I was saying all that to say, Jupiter, when Neptune, if Neptune is our vision of what we want for ourselves. Our, like, 2022 we could say is a year, don't be scared to dream. Don't be thinking thoughts like, oh, I can't make that happen, or I don't deserve that. You know, you got to cancel that to make the most of, again, about the first 5 months. We'll get into more details, but at least these first 5 months of the year, you got a dream, you got a vision. Give yourself the time. It's worth the time to let it play out in your movie mind. You know what I mean? Yeah, give it that time. Because that's Neptune, and then again, Jupiter brings blessing, opportunity, fortune, open portals, open doors. So, alright. Did I say everything? Yeah, so dreams manifest, but also, if you want some diluted stuff, okay, we do have, you know, how much do our dreams align with our own relative truth, and how does that relative truth line up with what we would say self-evident truth? What do we do? Are we deluding ourselves? Are we lying to ourselves? Are we lying to relationships? What's really important? How things are or how things appear? This is when we start deluding ourselves. When we're on the, you know, wrong side of thinking around those issues. Any delusions that are perpetrated may be dissolved or exposed in 2022. Okay? So make sure you're working with honesty, integrity, especially with yourself. You know? That's important when we if we want to manifest our dreams, that's the shadow side of working in that dream realm, you know? And just Piscean energy people in general. It's going to be a great year, you know? It's going to be a great year. And we'll talk more about that and because to be honest, we are a Piscean people. You know, we all aware of that? The ones that are associated with the Ma'afa, this transatlantic experience. Yeah, Piscean people. So, interesting year coming up. Okay. Now, this is the timeline we got to be aware of. This is how we want to, this is critical to make the most of this upcoming year. It's all tied in with the movements of Jupiter. Okay? So Jupiter is going to enter Pisces on the 28th of December. So right at the beginning of the year, Jupiter is going to enter Pisces. But Jupiter, once it gets in Pisces, it's going to be flying. It's going to be going super fast for Jupiter. Okay? And it's going to go the 30 degrees of Pisces from December to May 10th. May 10th, Jupiter is going to already be in Aries. On its way, it's going to activate other planets, either through conjunction or other aspects. And we want to be on our Jupiterian frequency during these times. We want to be doing just what I was talking about, using that mind power of visualization and magnetizing opportunities to make these things happen. Okay? December through May is the critical time February 17th, Jupiter's going to sextile Uranus. Okay? So, great time to be making moves around social change, around technology issues. Okay? Uranus is in Taurus. So, our home comforts, our home, like mama's been on the prepping vibe. Okay? Good time to be on that frequency. Getting your home, the comforts, the securities of the home scene secured. Okay? April 12th is when Jupiter and Neptune are in exact conjunction. This is the time, like, don't be scared to have the big vision. Don't be scared to manifest, you know, what I guess we could say is our dream come true. Neptune represents our dream come true. Imagine your life in its perfected state, you know, and even beyond imagining it and seeing it, what else do we got to do? We got to feel the joy, gratitude, excitement that we would have. I'm not going to say if that vision is manifest, when that vision is manifest. And you got to feel it like right in that here and now. Right? April 12th. And really through most of April, because Jupiter and Neptune, even though Jupiter's moving fast, it's not just a one and done day. Most of April, I think I'll have the exact dates a little later, the range, but it's something like April 5th through about April 21st. This is an open portal. You talk about a portal. This is the portal of portals right here for manifesting. Okay? May 3rd, Jupiter's going to sextile Pluto. This is a good time to manifest that divine intervention against the Gilly Bates hocus pocus. Pluto up there in Capricorn, Jupiter's going to be sextiling it, bringing some grace, some mercy, bringing that X factor that we was talking about. Okay? But then, bam, in May, Jupiter's out of Pisces. That portal's gone. Okay? Now, Jupiter will go retrograde starting June 4th. And it will go backwards into Pisces. But when Jupiter's retrograde, that's not easy. That's not the time to be attempting to work Jupiterian energy when it's going backwards. Okay? Jupiter's energy is like a wind. This is how I like to visualize. It's like a wind. Right? And imagine if you're working with wind, you want to sail. And you want that wind at your back. Right? So now when Jupiter goes retrograde, it's like the deflation. It's like the exhale. It's like the wind is not going to be blowing at your back. It might even be blowing at your face, or it might just not feel like no wind at all. Right? So these works we want to get in, we want to get it in before Jupiter goes into Aries, before Jupiter starts going backwards. Okay? And Jupiter's going to go backwards from June to almost the end of December. Okay? Excuse me, I didn't mean December. October. Right. Excuse me. End of October, October 28th. All right? It'll start, oh no, let me be specific and clear. All right, Jupiter is going to be retrograde through October, but it will re-enter Pisces October 28th. It will go direct November 4th. Okay? But by December 20th, by this time next year, the solstice next year, just how Jupiter's moving into Pisces at this like right at, a week from now, next year, Jupiter's going to be moving into Aries, next solstice. So this Jupiter and Pisces window is going to be gone. All right? So the time to get it in
It's right now.
is starting on the 28th
Yes.
of December to, like, what is that, May 5th, May 3rd, May 10th.
May 10th.
Don't let it be June and July and you're like, Ras said we're going to get some grace this year. Let me get on my Jupiterian frequency. No, like, it's a wrap. Let's hang it up. All right, some other active days. And I am recording this. I'm going to put this on YouTube. All right, so y'all will be able to reference this. But some other active dates. March 5th. Jupiter's going to conjunct the sun. So March 5th, when you look at the sun, Jupiter's going to be right there. Okay? That's a power day. The equinox, spring equinox, March 21st. Jupiter's going to conjunct Mercury. Great. The mercurial part of us is our mind. Think big. If you want to make some big money moves, good time to sign contracts and, make big moves, okay? Big decisions. They'll probably end up favorable with that alignment. April 30th, Venus and Jupiter will conjunct. Those are two beneficents. That'll be a great time to, Venus deals with our values, what's really important. Good time to reevaluate. All right, we mentioned this Jupiter, Neptune conjunction in Pisces has only occurred 2 other times within the last 400 years. The last time it occurred was in 1856. A lot of powerful people were born in that year. Okay, it'd be worth researching. 1856. I'm just going to mention 3 who were born with this celestial alignment in their chart. The first being Nikola Tesla. Okay, but then there's something about scientists being tapped in, it seems, with this alignment, because Tesla has that quality, as well as Booker T. Washington, who was born in 1856, founder of Tuskegee, right? And Granville T. Woods, who was a multi-genius inventor of many things, So, hey, if you're of that age, great energy to have, this would be a good year to have a youth. Capture that Jupiter, Neptune energy. Bring some genius down here that can, as they come of age, just work this thing out for us, you know? Certain events in 1856 that I think have relevance for us to reflect on where we're at now in space-time. First thing, the Second Opium War jumped off in 1856. We know what's going on with opium in our communities like that. We're in an opium war now, to be honest. You know what I'm saying? Just with the narcotics we find in our communities, but also our relationship with China. The opium wars had a lot to do with defining the trade, mercantile relationships with Asia that we have today. And remember, we said this was a time where things was going to come full circle, right? So that's going to be something to pay attention to. 1856 was a year, I guess what you would say, personal spiritual experiences became popularized. Things like the Ouija boards, psychic research, and all those things they blew up in 1856. We already said this was going to be a cycle where we'll probably see, I think it's going to manifest this cycle as like the spiritual warfare. Okay? We witnessing things that is going to be so ill. The only way we can interpret it is like they just trying to bring us down. You know? This is interesting. The man who is historically known as the worst president ever, James Buchanan, was elected. Okay? So, I'm not going to say no more on that, but, you know, it is what it is. We said this was a time of possible mass spiritual awakening. There were a lot of indigenous uprisings in 1856. Two in particular, the Battle of Seattle in the state of Washington, and the Tin-Tick Wars in Utah. The industrial chemical complex, which is based right in Delaware, Dow and all of that. They really blew up in 1856 with the invention of synthetic purple dye. And this purple dye has so many different applications. It really just set in motion this chemical industrial reality we living in now. You know, 1856 was a big jump off year for that. Also, ocean piracy was abolished. Neptune deals with the open waters, right? And when I say piracy, I mean amongst nations. Like nations hiring privateers, that's what, you know, would be the sanitized name of them. But they're basically pirates, plundering on open sea. By treaty, that was abolished in 1856. When we look at 1690, I think this, one of the most important things that jumped off in 1690, I think has relevance for this cryptocurrency. Okay? So now, full disclosure, full transparency. Me, myself, I have a lot of mixed feelings about the blockchain. I already voiced the biggest that, you know, if you get dependent, if you get locked to the blockchain, right, you get chained to the block, your money's programmable. Some guy at a computer who don't like you or you ain't pay this, or they monitoring your money, they don't like what you doing, or you on the wrong political side or whatever. They could program your money to only work where they want it, where they want to limit you living and how you living. You know? So that's something to really think about. But on the flip side, there is a window of time where certain coins, you put your money, you put your bills in certain coins, you can change your financial reality, you know? And I think 2022 will be one of those years. Okay? I do. I think 2022 will be a year where a lot of people can change their financial reality investing in those coins. Why do we say that? 1690 was when paper money, the system of paper money went international. With the Barclays, which is basically an international banking system. It's a little bit more than just a bank. If you study the history of the Barclays, that was founded in 1690, and paper money started being used internationally, with it first being here in the States, colony of Massachusetts, tying in their economics with paper money. So yeah, something about this Jupiter, Neptune, Pisces cycle is tied in with the founding of currency systems. You know, which I would say is comparable to this Bitcoin blockchain thing. You know, so I would say, yeah, this is going to be a big year for that. In 1690, there was an act of, literally, something titled the Act of Grace, bestowed by the King of England upon some dissenters, right? So we said, hey, we might see a glimpse of grace this year. 1690, right, there was an actual event with the name grace in it, affirming humanity's cosmic awareness expanded. Telescopes, the technology of telescopes expanded to the point where we were able to discover, quote unquote, observe the planet Uranus, and also Jupiter was studied to the degree that we could see, like, wow, Jupiter has a big storm. It looks like an eye of Jupiter, and some of the clouds in Jupiter are moving in one direction, some is moving in another. There's like this differential movement in the atmosphere of Jupiter. All of these discoveries occurred in 1690. So I know that, I don't know if it's NASA, but someone is sending up a telescope, I think within a week or two, that is supposed to be able to look back in time to the Big Bang. Okay? So we might see some amazing stuff, like our what we consider our awareness and perception of the cosmos and creation. We might get some mind-blowing revelations around that in 2022. Because in 1690 we did have a expansion of our cosmic awareness. So I wouldn't be surprised if that happens again, you know. Water technology expanded a lot in 1690 using pump technology for irrigation. Jumped off. Hey, maybe this time we can get some clean water technology, right? That would be lovely, right? And right here in Philly, 1690, first paper mill in the Americas. William Rittenhouse, right here in the Wissahickon. Okay? So these are things that happen in history when this same alignment was occurring. So we can look and hey, that's something I recommend. I just picked out what I thought was relevant to share right here and now, but I would study 1856 and 1690. Okay? It may give insight into things we observe going into this year. Now, although Jupiter and Neptune conjunct in Pisces only in 1856 and 1690, Jupiter and Neptune conjunct every 13 years. It'll just be in successive or different signs. Okay? So in 1971, Jupiter and Neptune conjuncted in Sagittarius. In 1984, 13 years later, because Jupiter, it takes 12 years for Jupiter to come full circle. All right? And Neptune moves a little bit forward. So about every 13 years, they line up. Can y'all visualize that? All right. So 71, Jupiter and Neptune conjuncted in Sagittarius. Both in 84 and 97, Jupiter and Neptune conjuncted in Capricorn. Okay? 2009, Jupiter and Neptune conjuncted in Aquarius. And again, April 12th, 2022 is going to be the exact day of the conjunction in 2022, and it will be in Pisces. Okay? But yeah, I told you it's going to be a range where, don't be scared to vision big. Those dates is April 3rd to April 21st. That window right there, that's a portal of portals. Okay? After this year, Jupiter and Neptune will conjunct again in 2035 in Aries and 2048 in Taurus. Okay? But what we can do to get a vision of how might this manifest for me personally? Map your life. So what was going on in your reality in 1971? What was going on in your reality in 1984, 97, and 09? See if you see patterns or themes emerging that, wow, each of these years, such and such happened in my life. Right? And more than likely, those same themes may be activated in 2022. Y'all with me on that?
Yes.
All right. Something else that I want us to reflect on. Think back to 2019. Before Gilly Bates, pandemic reality. How excited were you? How optimistic were you? I know me, myself, going into 2020, I was very optimistic. Very excited. Seemed like a lot of open portals was going on in my reality. You know, people were visioning big, right? Because Jupiter was in another sign that it rules, which is Sagittarius. Jupiter rules two signs, Sagittarius and Pisces. Okay? So, that excitement that you had in 2019, am I wrong in thinking that was a collective experience? That was a collective, right? We might be able to recapture that. We might be able to reignite that when Jupiter moves into another sign that it rules. Okay? And this is what we said 2019 was going to be, we said this at the end of 2018, that 2019 was going to be a year of optimism, opportunities, and open portals. And that is what it manifested as. It didn't start out that way, but it did end that way. The closer ones got to 2020, and everybody was on that 2020 vision. Like, usually hindsight is 2020 clear, but we were like in 2020, our foresight was going to be clear. People were excited. So we may be able to recapture that. All right, and I shared this once, but I just want to reaffirm it, that the best way to make the most of this year is to get your spiritual works in between December 28th and May 3rd. Okay, that's very important. Before we move forward, are there any questions? Let's have a little discussion before we move forward. Any questions? Yes.
I have a question. So what about this metaverse that everybody's going to be going into?
Now, I'll say this.
Okay.
They made good timing. Jupiter and Neptune and Pisces, that's some Neptune and Pisces stuff. You know? Alternate reality. It's like I said, Pisces rules the subconscious, you know, and they're working with these technologies that kind of just plug in. You just plug it in. That metaverse is going to. They got good time. They timed that thing right. They timed it right because basically the electronic matrix, like right now we just go on the internet, but with the metaverse it'll be like you're immersed in it, putting on virtual reality glasses, and you're through avatar, you're like in the metaverse, you're in the internet, you know. But yeah, they picked a good time for it. It's going to blow up in 2022. I'm choosing, like I already told y'all what it is with me and the blockchain. So you can imagine but now I will say in February, I am going to be a part of a crystal crypto convergence where ones who are well versed in those NFTs and cryptocurrency, we're going to explore how we can prosper, like with crystals and sacred stones, but in that reality. So I'm going to learn.
We've heard that.
You know. Yeah, I'm going to learn because. Oh, she's on it already?
No. She's been unloaded already.
Oh, all right.
You told us years ago, if you have a lot of crystals, that's how you're going to make money.
Well, I'm an advocate of the quartz standard. While we talking about it, the quartz standard.
That's right.
Not necessarily the gold standard. The quartz standard.
Yeah, I'm like a billionaire.
Make our value, because Any standard is just an agreement. We say, yeah, this thing has some value, and we're going to trade around it. So it works for me. You know, get a lot of quarters. Why not? All right. Another alignment occurring at the beginning of the year that I think is going to be favorable for us is the placement of the moon. The moon is going to be at 26 degrees Sagittarius. Okay? So that is, we know we don't live like, well, we live in the cosmos, right? The visible omniverse. And there's stars throughout the cosmos. But stars aren't just randomly distributed. Stars cluster in communities called galaxies, right? And each galaxy has a core or a galactic center where there's usually like some supermassive black star, some big event horizon that seems like to control the space-time for that whole galaxy, right? If we were to look for the galactic core of our galaxy, it's a point of light, right? It looks like one star, but it's actually thousands, maybe even hundreds of thousands of stars centered around this massive black hole, and it's located at 26 degrees Sagittarius. So the moon will be conjunct the galactic core at the beginning of the year. The moon represents like the sum total of our inner world, where our thoughts, our feelings, our downloads, our imagination, gut feelings, mother wit, communion, all that goes on inside of us. That's the sum total of the moon. The sum total of it is embodied by the moon. That's why the moon will tell us how, if, when we might experience that serenity, that inner peace. How can we bring all those different parts of our inner world together in such a way that we got serenity? That's what the moon tells us in the chart. Okay? So with the moon being conjunct the galactic core, I think that's significant. Again, I think like that's like that quiet, still voice being able to be almost the loudest voice. The moon is like the sum total of our inner world, like I was just mentioning. So it's like that sum total of our inner world plugged into the galactic core. I think a lot of people are going to be getting spiritual awakenings. They're going to be moved from within for change. I think it's a good placement. Okay?
Ras Ben, give thanks.
Oh, I give thanks. Am I just running my mouth too long? All right. All right. Something else that may be popping off 2022, international tension, like we see it bubbling. Mars is going to be in Sagittarius in the 8th house. So there may be cross-border tension over resources. Okay? So that intervention, that divine intervention, we're going to really need it. Okay? We're really going to need it. Mars in Sagittarius is also the fanatic. Sagittarius rules our opinions, what we think others need to think. That's what our opinion is, right? Not necessarily what we need to think, but what others need to think. And Mars is our martial self, you know? Us externalizing, taking action. Mars is our polarized self. So Mars in Sagittarius The tension that we see bubbling is going to have fertile ground to expand in 2022. So that interchange, that divine intervention, like the stakes it's going to be high. We're going to need it. Pluto is still in Capricorn. So the oligarchs, the plutarchs that have been taking over government, taking over the mechanisms of governance since Pluto has been in Capricorn, which it moved in right, to be honest, right when Obama was elected. Pluto in Capricorn is defined by the Obama, Trump, and now Biden presidencies. Okay? And we could say from before then to now, oligarchs in other parts of the world has had more impact on the election process in this country than people casting the vote. Okay? So, sad to say, it's more of that in 2022. It's going to probably peak out in 2022. These oligarchs are still going to be grabbing power. What do they say? Money is free speech. Right? Isn't that how it is in politics now? So this is, we're going to continue to see corporations continue to gain more governmental influence than elected officials. We're going to see corporate plutarchs and oligarchs still having a strong influence on the social values. Okay? Also, patriarchy. Pluto in Capricorn is bringing the spotlight on relative versus absolute truth around patriarchy. You know, like patriarchally defined reality, but then how is it really? You know? So like you got America's Dad, Bill Cosby, caught up in it, you know? That's just like a blaring example because he was like America's dad, you know? So more of that. 2022 is still going to be, all of those themes are still going to be active. But then from there, Pluto is moving into Aquarius. So we want to work through as many of the shadows of Aquarius as we can before Pluto goes in there. Okay? Or that dystopia reality might be real. Okay. Wellness in 2022. I think this is very important. Okay? We know each sign rules a body part. Okay? So right now, Pluto is sitting on our knees and our shins. If you're in Capricorn, if you're familiar with like reflexology or acupressure, there's a point on your knees called the point of 100 diseases. Okay, look that up. It's very important. You want to look like our elder here. Alright? You gotta heal up that point of 100 diseases. If your knees is giving you problems, if your shins are carrying tension and stress, you gotta work that out. Okay? Saturn is at our ankles. And those that study reflexology know major lymph nodes and nerve endings for important endocrines stop at our ankles. Okay? So Saturn restricts. Pluto brings pressure. Pluto's the volcano. Pressure bust pipe. Okay? Saturn is the limiter, the constrictor. Okay? And now we got Jupiter in our feet. And those that study reflexology knows a nerve ending to every organ in the body is in our feet. Okay? So I think it is very important to pay attention to these parts of our body in 2022. And generally speaking, more often than not, these are the most neglected parts of our body, the parts we pay the least attention to. Okay? So I wanted to bring that out. Y'all with me on that?
Yes.
All right. We could do some quick reviewing. I see felt folk. What time is it? Oh, it's after 10? We're going to wrap it up right here. I'm going to honor your time because we said this was going to be 6 to 10. Okay? And what I might do is just do because y'all got the big bulk of it. Okay? We were just going to kind of review some of the slower planets and the cycles that they got us in, like Uranus and Taurus, that's been increasing the Earth changes, right? Go in depth to how this Neptune's been in Pisces for a while. Kind of talk about how that's been playing out. One thing I will mention with Neptune, Jupiter, and Pisces, right? Something that may be active in 2022 is sea level rising and polar cap destabilization. That is a real thing. Okay? Neptune rules the seas, Jupiter expands, Pisces rules the seas. The polar caps are in a shaky state already. So this might be I wouldn't be surprised if this is the cosmic event that triggers something major happening with that. Okay? Uranus in Taurus is accelerating the Earth changes. There's really, who has been paying attention that a volcano's been erupting most of this year? Like just ongoing. You know? And we just see Earth change acceleration. Like you can't, even ones that want to deny it, they can't deny it no more. Right? It's not even tornado season. This isn't tornado season, it's December. And we had a mile-wide tornado tear up, how much was it, 200 miles? 200 miles of land. And it's not tornado season. You can't ignore it. That's that delusional stuff. That's going to be dissipated this year, you know? And we mentioned Pluto and Capricorn. Y'all got the meat of it, all right? Thank y'all for coming out, being these small instruments, playing our part, and bringing forth this divine intervention on the solstice, you know? And I hope the information gave you a good vision for how to move in 2022. Yes, we could take some questions.
Is it okay back cryptocurrency or not?
Well, what I would say is that's ultimately a personal decision. But what I would say is, ideally, you would want to be able to transform your financial reality, right? Investing in those currencies, but not be chained to that block.
Okay.
Not have it where right now there is no other physical currency, and cats is programming your money.
Right.
I don't want to be in that reality.
Right. I think you gotta get that coin wallet though, so you control it yourself. Then if you have the wallet, it goes with this crypto money. I'm learning more about it now, right? So they're saying if you get this coin wallet, your wallet, that only you control. So in some kind of way, that's what they're talking about.
That's how it is with the playing ground right now.
Okay.
But you know they shift things up. So right, while you can control your wallet, this is the time to get in and get it in.
Get it in.
Right? But that day is going to come where they flip it.
Right.
You know how it is. Right? They got to make it sweet. They got to make it sweet for us to want to get him in it. To get chained to the block. Alright? So, right. If you could get in while it's sweet and get out before they flip it, that would be ideal. Yes, consistent.
My question is, like, getting out, right? Once you get out, you've established, you gain more financial wealth. The most efficient ways to use the finances to keep generating prosperity without being caught in the blockchain. You know, like maybe grabbing land.
Grabbing land, yes.
Precious metals.
Right, exactly. Increase your abundance and cash out of it. You know, flip it into something material. Absolutely. That would. Now, I'm not an expert. I'm not an expert on that crypto thing. You know, and I have my own mixed feelings about it. I'm sure there are others better built to give guidance on it. But what I will say, looking celestially, astrologically, 2022 will probably be a bountiful year. People that are invested in it are going to find it is 2022 is a bountiful year. I think so. All right. Much love, everyone. All right. Yes, sir.